right, and we are live. Welcome, folks watching out there. My name is Dimitri Lylan, and welcome to the .NET Desktop Community Stand-Up. I'm really excited to have a bunch of guests here. We have a lot of great demos and topics. Today, we're going to be talking to the App Center team that's here with me in the studio, and to the WinUI team with Steven on the camera here in his office in the famous building 114 on campus, where the developer platform for Windows is actually worked on. So that's really cool. Thank you everybody for being here again, and I want to get everybody introduced who's going to be a guest today, and they can introduce their topics as well, and then we'll kick it off. So Steven, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Hi everyone, my name is Steven. I'm a program manager on the Windows UI team working on UI for Windows 10, and I'm super excited to tell you today about Tab View and how it works with XAML islands and how we're shipping it in the terminal. So thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, and we'll start with that in a little bit. And why don't we introduce the folks in the room? So I'm going to zoom in here, and we can start with you.
Hey, my name is Winnie. I'm a PM on the App Center team. I'm primarily focused on our Windows support and then also our diagnostic service, which we'll be demoing later today.
Awesome. Matt.
And my name is Matt. I'm an engineering manager on the App Center team. I work with diagnostics, with code push, with a couple of different things, and mainly with Winnie as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. And again, just my name is Dimitri Lylan. I'm the PM on XAML tools for WPF and UWP developers, and I work really closely with Steven's team on the Windows side. I work with App Center, and I also work with basically anything that's required to get your app constructed, published, built, designed, everything. That's the tools are in my team, and then the platforms and the services support that. I was going to have some demos today. Unfortunately, time just wasn't in my favor, so it is what it is. But I have two great guests, two great groups of guests that we're going to go through, starting with Steven. So why don't we kick it off with you, Steven?
Okay, thanks. Let me share real quick. Let's see. So to start out, let's get rid of this guy. To start out, I wanted to first show you the Windows UI Twitter real quick. This is where we have a whole bunch of information about Windows UI. For folks that don't know, WinUI is our NuGet package and set of documentation and set of code that's all open source, and it's about creating UI for Windows 10. And so to start it off, if you want to get more information about WinUI, we're on Twitter at Windows UI. I also wanted to share the GitHub repo about WinUI. So if you go to AKMS/WinUI, that'll take you to the Microsoft UI XAML GitHub repo, and this is where you can see all of our new code for things like our new controls or styles or animations. And so that's the Microsoft UI XAML GitHub repo.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you folks are working in open source on this. And in the last episode of this stand-up, we talked a lot about WinUI 3 in the future there. I guess one of the important things to remind folks watching is that WinUI 2 is already up there in a working shape, right? You're actually working on WinUI 2 in the live repo, and you're publishing NuGet packages, all of that. This is the way to get those bug fixes and new controls that are in that pack, and then eventually WinUI will expand. But it's basically, this is the place that will evolve over time.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And for folks that are super excited about WinUI 3 or even, WinUI 2, you can always provide input at this WinUI 3 developer experience and tooling input. You can also file new issues for feature requests. It's a really great place to, this is where our team puts all of our code and all of our new features. So that's a great resource. But let's say that you want to see the controls and the stuff in action. We also have this thing called the XAML controls gallery, which has all of our different controls and patterns. And so you'll notice along here we've got basic input and a whole bunch of things that includes things like buttons and radio buttons. So we got media, we got scrolling, we got a whole bunch of different categories for different controls. And the really great thing about these controls is that you can use them in UWP apps, but you can also use them in XAML islands to bring these sorts of modern UI elements into your existing WPF or Windows Forms or Win32 application. So
yeah,
this is
we covered XAML islands pretty extensively in the last episode. Folks should definitely check out Miguel. He explained it if you don't know like how XAML Islands can help your WPF, your WinForm, or your C++ app take advantage of WinUI, that episode and blogs by Miguel and other things can help you get started. And my team is actually working on tooling for 1.0 GA that we have coming later this year. Right now, XAML Islands unfortunately has some manual steps to get through in order to implement them, and my team will make sure that there's no manual steps, hopefully by end of year here. So we're actively working at it. One question, Stephen, where can folks get the thing you're showing? How do they get it installed?
Yeah, good question. So just like WinUI, the source is all on GitHub, but to download the app, you can go to aka.ms/XAML Gallery app, and that'll take you to the store. If you want the source directly, you can go to aka.ms XAML Gallery source. And so it's hopefully pretty easy to get to. Also, it's available on the, there's a link to it on the WinUI GitHub repo.
Awesome.
Sweet. So I wanted to share with you our hot off the presses tab view control. And so tab view is a way to, it's a control that allows you to have multiple tabs of content. And so you can imagine that you have, several pages, several documents. You want to be able to add new ones or even close them. So tab view is a long requested feature for UWP, and we're really excited to have the opportunity to share it with you. So the tab view page inside here also has a whole bunch of code. I know it might look like a lot. Some samples are a little bit more complicated than others, but this sample shows how you can wire up keyboard accelerators like Control-T and Control-W to open and close tabs. We also show how you can create experiences. Some of you might be familiar with the new Windows terminal that that Microsoft is producing. Super excited.
Yeah, very cool.
And there's a small sample of showing how you can create full color bitmap icons inside your tab view, similar to what the Windows terminal does, or setting the accent color background on the tab strip. And so the tab view control we're really excited about, and part of the reason we're really excited about it is because the first customer is actually the Windows terminal. So here I've got a version of the terminal running. You'll notice that the terminal doesn't have the latest and greatest. It hasn't yet consumed the visual updates that we got, or the behavior updates. So like one small difference is that there's separators here between the tabs. You'll notice.
Yeah.
So they don't have that one yet, but this is using an early drop of the tab view control using XAML Island. So the tab view is inside of a XAML Island in a Win32 app. So that's super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool that you already have a customer. I mean, it's making sense, right? The terminal is preview, the control is preview, so you folks can work on the bugs together.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's exactly right. So I think that's everything I wanted to share. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great. So definitely, I hope folks will check out the XAML control gallery, take a look at what new controls, and I think you also have bug fixes in there as well, right, for some of the controls as part of WinUI. And in the future, WinUI, one of the beautiful things about that repository is it's going to keep growing. And at some point, you're literally going to add a NuGet package to your app and get all the controls from NuGet, as opposed to some of them being in platform and some of them being in WinUI. Right now, the story is a bit split, but that's something that I know your team is working really hard on.
Very, very hard, yes.
Yes. I'm literally spending a day of meetings in 114 as part of that conversation, and we really want to make sure tooling is going to work really great. All right, so thank you very much. And there's some questions around UWP and XAML Islands future in the chat. We really don't have anybody from XAML Islands right now as part of this conversation, so I would say take a look at the previous live stream, Moshe, and I think a lot of the questions are answered there. In terms of UWP and life support, that's just not our view. I know there's been some talk about that. We have a lot of things that we're working on for UWP and the platform in general. So if you look at the tab control, I mean, this is for UWP as much as it is for XAML Islands for Win32 applications. So we definitely are continuing to invest. We have unfortunately nobody from XAML Islands or leadership here to talk in detail, but I just wanted to kind of address that a little bit.
I think one quick thing, sorry, is that our team is very invested in the modern UI, both in UWP and inside XAML Islands, and our team is making really big bets on both of those areas, especially in places like the terminal. And so so that's just one thing I'd like to call out.
Yeah, definitely. And you're doing it in open, so as things evolve, you're going to see more and more. Especially if folks take a look at the WinUI 3 specification that's up in that GitHub repo, the future plans, the roadmap, I guess is the right word I'm looking for. The roadmap talks about like all the things we're going to do to make UWP better, bringing out input, XAML, composition, controls, putting them up in NuGet, making it much easier for the team that Steven works on to rapidly ship features for those things, which will lean back into UWP, making UWP even better. In the previous live stream, we also talked a lot about WinUI Desktop, which is a prototype that we're working on. We're seriously thinking about bringing that thing to market, which would really enhance what people can do with UWP technology by bringing it into an app model that was outside the store and outside of the kind of the restrictions that we have today of UWP, but getting all the power, all the controls, all the modern input, all the modern inking, anything in Windows 10 API wise that you want to take advantage of. We're also really hard at work and trying to make these things as compatible as possible. So I think in the past, which version of Windows customers we're on was really impactful, in the current stack of things, and that's something we're trying to improve. We're trying to make it easier for developers to build an app and know that there's a wider range of OSs in Windows 10 landscape that they can target. So all of that is things we talked about in the last live stream, so definitely take a look. It's up on the .NET Foundation YouTube or on Channel 9's .NET Community Stand-Up channel, and you can find it all there. All right, Steven, thank you so much for joining us. Hang out or drop off, whatever makes your day easier, and we hope to have you on again as more control stuff changes.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, man. All right, team, so next topic of the day is App Center. I want to just hand it off and you guys take it away.
Awesome, you want to start?
Sure, absolutely. So for those of you who aren't familiar with App Center yet, we are an integrated developer solution. We try and integrate a bunch of different tools that you might need right after you check in your code, so that you can really deliver the best app for your users. So if you look at this page, this is the appcenter.ms homepage, where you can kind of see what we offer today: continuously build, test, release, and monitor for apps of various platforms. And so today, Matt and I will be talking about our support for WPF and WinForms apps, which we released about a few weeks ago now. So that's really exciting. We'll be demoing 3 services, which is distribution, analytics, and diagnostics. Those were the more requested services at the time. So that's how we decided to introduce WPF and WinForms support. Yeah, and there's some history here because Hockey App, which kind of started App Center back in the day, had some support, and we had some customers using some desktop SDKs, I guess, or technologies. Just App Center needed to catch up as we were bringing things over, and now App Center lights up all the previews for that today. Yeah, absolutely. So App Center is the next generation of Hockey App, so we wanted to make sure that Hockey App users can easily migrate over to App Center and still see all the features there, with some added benefits as well. Yeah, that's awesome, because I know a lot of people know Hockey App, so I want to point out kind of the evolution of that. And .NET Framework support is out today, and .NET Core is something I know your team wants to do as well, right? Actually, .NET Core support came out today, and .NET Framework support came out a few weeks ago. So for those of you who are looking to migrate to .NET Core, definitely you can use App Center as well. So that's really exciting. Great. Yeah. And the type of customers that we're talking to today is .NET community. So for these SDKs, we're talking about WPF, WinForm developers, right? Those are the two kind of new developers we're targeting, folks that are pushing out with MSIX, that sort of. That's our primary goal at this point, for sure. We are also targeting UWP, hopefully in the next month. Will come out and be added to the set of 3 things. And I might get in trouble for holding ourselves accountable to this, but we're hoping to have the support, and when we show the demo, I think this will make sense, support for .NET Core 3 at the console app level, so it would be cross-platform, not just the WPF WinForm apps. We can separate that so that you can receive the same kind of diagnostics and analytics benefits from your apps that are spread out, whether they be like a CLI or a desktop app or whatever. So that one is a little fuzzy still, but if I say it out loud, maybe it'll make it happen. Yeah, it helps. And so we're trying to get a real wide gamut of Windows stuff we're covering. That's really great. Awesome. All right, so Winnie, back to you. Yeah, so today I'll be showing what you can do in App Center with our 3 services that we support. So that's distribution, diagnostics, and analytics. And then Matt will actually go through all of this stuff in maybe like under 5 minutes or so and show everyone how you can actually get this set up and running. So right here, you'll see kind of the instructions, just how to get started, how to integrate the NuGet packages. Once you've done that, these are the services that you can use. A little bit slow. So distribution is a service that allows you to easily release your app to your end users. So whether these are end tester, like beta testers, or your primary end users, we allow you to make these releases so that your users can easily install your app and you can easily manage which version, which groups are currently using. And so, for example, this is the distribution groups page. So as I mentioned, you can create your distribution groups here and just invite users via email. So you can easily manage who is actually getting your application. If you really just want a bunch of people to test it out, you can even have a public distribution group. What that means is it'll generate a link that you can share. You can tweet it out. You can just send it to anyone who you would like to download your app and test it out.
Awesome.
Right, this is kind of a corollary to the old pass around the thumb drive to get your app, or the one-click deployment share. And it's the same general idea, right? You're just getting the app out and about, but regulating who it can go to, when you can see it, having control over upgrading versions and when things get pushed out is I think a whole different ballgame than a lot of the tools that may be available.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. So this is the releases page, so you can see which releases you've made, to whom, how many downloads, and things like that. The next service we have is diagnostics. So once you integrate our SDK, you will be able to see when your apps are crashing. If you want, you can catch some handled errors. And this is a really great way just to understand, what went wrong and why. Once your app is out in the wild, you definitely want to make sure it's not crashing.
Yeah, so you distribute it to your group or via the public link, and then you can watch the crash reports come right in, right, to make your app better.
Yeah, hopefully not too many crash reports.
Yes.
So for example, if I click into the crashes tab, I can see the number of crashes, how many users are affected. If I actually click into one of these crash groups, I can see a little bit more details in the stack trace. I can click on the reports tab and actually look at the individual reports. And for some more like customizable functionalities, you can track events that occurred before a crash. So if you would like to know what your users were doing right before your app crashes, this is a really great way for you to kind of understand what happened there. You can attach attachments and download your raw logs if that's something that is useful.
From a developer point of view, right? Like this is, if you say you write a desktop app and you distribute it to tens of thousands of people, and you don't have access to the logs on those machines, you don't have access to that data, right? This is analogous with log aggregation, but it's really a much richer set, right? We're taking the data, we're processing it for, say, UWP apps, we're converting that into from binary, from .NET Native to human readable, text. Same for like Apple and Android and things like that. And then we can group those. We can identify devices and types and give you that metrics and analytics that you wouldn't really be able to pull out of a set of logs. And so I know for me, when I joined App Center about 2 years ago, right, starting to think about my crash data and my diagnostics data in this rich set really makes it hard to go look at logs, right, and just be like, what happened? I want it to be augmented. I want it to be detailed and enough that I can go through and actually, it's much more analogous to looking at a crash and inspecting it in Visual Studio than it is looking at logs. It's kind of what we're hoping to bring to the table for people here that might not be familiar with this.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think anything we can do to just make things glanceable and more accessible to a wider range of developers is really awesome. And bringing the support to .NET Framework and .NET Core just gets me really excited. Just makes so many more developers be able to use this great product. I've been working with the App Center team for a while now, so I know the great product you build. But I think the more platforms we bring on board, the more people can actually use this. That's really gets me excited. Yeah, ditto.
It's. I mean, I say it. I'm slightly biased, I suppose, but it is as a developer who was outside Microsoft doing development for a number of years. Like this is a really cool, especially in this world where so many apps are not just on your server, right, or running co-located. It really is a whole different ballgame, and it's pretty cool to be a part of.
Yeah, awesome. All right, do we have more?
Yeah. The last service I want to show is our analytics service. So all the data you're seeing here is just out of the box. So once you integrate our SDK, you'll start seeing this data flow in, number of active users. This really gives you a better idea of like who's using your app and how they're using it, so that you can really just understand how you want to build your app and really deliver the best user experience there. If you would like to have some more customizability, you can also attach these custom events. So if you want to track like a button click or a specific flow, this is a really great way for you to do that and understand user trends, user behavior, again, for the ultimate goal of just making sure you're delivering the best app.
Yeah,
So
adding telemetry to a real-world app in a lot of cases is really the only way to know if the decisions you've made and some update are actually being utilized by customers. Crash data can only give you so much information, right? This custom, like implement the flow around your app that you want to track, and then be able to use App Center to go and report against that. Just makes it so much easier. There are some questions coming in the chat. So one of the questions is around application insights and how this compares to application insights, or if there's going to be any merging. Like, is there any plans to reconcile the two? Because there are similar features in both now because of that.
Yeah, there are no plans as far as I know to merge the two. We do have a feature, and it doesn't show up right here, but you can export all your analytics data into application insights. So application insights does have a more robust feature set, so it allows you to create better graphs, query things, and so you can just export all this data you're getting from the App Center SDK into application insights if you want to use those features to kind of customize what you're looking for there.
Cool. Okay, that's fair. And also another question came in around are line numbers in a call stack for WPF new? Somebody asked that question.
I believe we added those in response to customer requests. So Moshi, yes, that's for you.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Shall we move to the Matt?
Yeah. How about so one of the things that I think is really cool about App Center is that as Winnie mentioned, it's super easy to engage, and we're going down the rabbit hole there.
No, let's do it again.
Try it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really amazing.
That's my favorite part.
I totally
of the day.
hit the wrong button. That's fine.
And so one of the things for me, it's great to hear about this stuff, but I like to see it, and I like to be able to know that we try to make the barrier for entry as low as possible. And one thing that came out of our last session at VS Toolbox was this is a free service. Diagnostics, analytics, crash reports is all free. This is all just part of us helping you make your app the best it can be. So that's worth noting. So this free service takes hopefully less than 5 minutes to get integrated. And so we're going to try and walk through a couple parts. How do I take a WPF app, add the SDK to it, get it built and uploaded to App Center? We don't currently support the build piece in App Center, but there are future plans for that. So I still have to build the package, and then I'll publish it and upload it. Once I've done that, I'll be able to make it crash and see the reports kind of flow in. But I can also send it to Winnie, and we can show that distribution piece where it's pretty cool that I can push it through App Center to her. She can run it, and then we can also see those analytics start flowing in and crashes from her device.
That's great.
So yeah, let's give that a shot.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I want to start with if you're a developer in the wild trying to do this, appcenter.ms has links to our documentation. We have a page here on getting started with WinForms and WPF, and the basic steps here are create your project, add the NuGet references, build it, add your UI code to make it crash, or hopefully not make it crash. In this case, we're going to make it crash because that's the fun stuff. And then ship it, and that's really all there is to it, right? So you see it says you need the .NET framework. It says you're going to create your app in App Center, going to add the SDK modules, and then go from there. And so I'm going to do just that. So I have a bunch of apps in here. I'm going to add a new app. Let's call it .NET Community. Let's going to give it a Windows, say that it's WPF, add an app. And as Winnie showed earlier, the Getting Started page when you create your app actually has all the code you need to add to integrate this, which is pretty rad. So we've got that started. I'm going to go over here, create a brand new project. I'm going to call it the WPF app. All right, and so I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to come over to my app.cs and add in the usings and the start that it tells me to use. Do this, there we go. And then as a startup, back over here, copy this in. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm using my Windows VM in Azure over my Mac, and the keyboards are just, it's much too confusing for my brain. So I preloaded some of what I need here. And let's get the startup in there. So you just override your startup, and you'll see there is a GUID here which I haven't added the actual NuGet packages yet, so that's fine. When we generate this information for you on App Center, we actually give you all the correct keys to integrate your app with the SDK on this page, so it's customized to your app. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the one with my key for this app in place. There you go. You'll see it's complaining about analytics and crashes. So now if I look at the getting started documentation, the next step is to integrate the SDK modules. Just going to go to NuGet packages. For the WPF and WinForms stuff, our NuGet packages are in preview. So we're trying to get this all finished up. So I'm going to go to browse. I'm going to search for app. Oh, look, I've done that before. All right. And so I'm going to install the crashes NuGet package and the analytics because it's kind of fun to see them work together, although you can do either or. And there are other pieces and other packages you can install as well. So we'll let that do its thing. All right, I'm going to accept a few licenses. And so addressing some comments from the previous video, we did have someone mention that they thought there was a pretty large amount of data and packages added to the app. And I know we have a GitHub issue for that. So if anyone else sees that or has issue with that, there is an issue you can reference, and we'll see where we sit with that and what we can do to make that manageable if those packages are too big. You can see it is adding quite a bit of stuff in there. And then also going to add analytics, which should have most of the same stuff. And so once this is all up and running, we'll run the app, make sure we're able to start. And so from there, let me just run it. I should have a blank app. We'll verify it's working before we go any further. Call this our passing test.
.NET becoming the new JS comment. I like that. We're trying not to. We really are. But building software is complicated. So
yeah,
keep the feedback coming if what we're doing is not is not helping. If it's hurting something, we definitely want to know.
So here I'm going to do a couple things. So I'm going to add some controls to my app. In this case, I just want some basic buttons. You again probably wouldn't have buttons that say crash my app, but you might want to.
That sounds like an amazingly honest button.
Yes. No, I mean we try and live in transparency.
Yeah.
So let me replace this grid with the copy and paste. Got it. All right. So there's my buttons. So, and one of the things we want to demonstrate is that there are, your app might crash in multiple different ways. We like I said, we bucketize and enrich the data. We want to see that. And then there's concepts we have in App Center of both unhandled and handled errors. Unhandled errors is I divided by 0 or I seg faulted, my app crashed. Mm-hmm. We actually, the next time the app starts, we'll send that log up. We found that trying to do things while the app is in a faulty state is not great for the app or for getting the data to us. So when it crashes, we actually capture a text snapshot of what happened, and then send that up on the next start. Mm-hmm. The other alternative is a handled error, which is kind of like an error.log statement.
Right.
You couldn't access the server you needed, or there was a file that you thought would be there that wasn't there. The app can keep running, the user can recover from that, but you might want to know that and make it better because they're missing some functionality. So we have buttons for both of those here.
I worked in an application one time before I joined Microsoft where until we added some analytics, and this was way before App Center's time, we had no clue the application was crashing for customers on a daily basis in a way that they could recover from it, and they never reported it. They just learned to work around the problem, restart the app or whatever they have to do. Once we added analytics, it was just like mind-boggling that we had errors coming in every day, and we're like, how is nobody complaining about it? So you can't assume customers will complain about a problem. It just helps to have diagnostics, so it's really awesome.
Right, I'm going to copy the usings over from the main window because, again, the keyboards are smarter than me right now. All right, so I should be able to run this. When I run it, we should be able to go ahead and crash the app. We can see that it catches it. I'm going to let it run. I'll start it up again. So the error report sent off. And so one thing we're not demonstrating here that's useful to see, there are hooks into the SDK to customize what happens, to like augment, override the error handlers, so you can do what you need as well in addition to sending that information to App Center. And let's throw a handled error.
Yeah.
And we'll throw a Stack Overflow in there as well. That one takes a second. All right. I'm gonna continue. All right, so I'm gonna go back over to App Center, and with any luck, we'll see the data we just created in our app. So if I go down to diagnostics, it might take a second to flow through. Also, we should probably check that I actually copied and pasted the right.
We've got a question while you're looking at that coming in. Somebody asked about offline capabilities. It's the question is, I'm a little behind on the stream, but will App Center work offline? We develop enterprise apps where devices aren't online, and I'm gonna guess that might be a problem if there's no connectivity whatsoever. But I feel like we almost need a little bit, a little bit more detail, right? Like, what does it mean by offline app?
So what we do is, since we don't send the logs until the app restarts, right? If your app had an error while it was not connected to a network and crashed, we would write that log, and when you restarted and had network connectivity, it would try and send it. Now, I don't know off the cuff. We'd have to ask the SDK team if it will retry when it fails sending. I believe there is some retries in there. So like if you were still offline and you opened it, I believe it'll send it the next time it has connectivity, but that's a little gray for me, to be honest.
Right, but at some point you're gonna need a network connection. Like this won't work. There's no like offline App Center. You can't install it.
We don't have an enterprise on premise instance of App Center, and I don't know that we have any plans to do that. All right, come on, App Center. So while we're waiting for this, a couple things to mention. Like we said, right now I'm doing this with a .NET Standard Framework as of today, and I just hadn't tested it before this thing, so I was just being nervous, didn't want to do it live. Yeah. The newest version of SDK does support Net Core 3, and so that would get you up and running there. And like I said, our hope, our theoretical goal in the near term is to uncouple this from the WPF WinForms framework so we can get on the Linux piece, so we can move elsewhere. It'd be great if that was also on Linux, but for now, separating the two and having just Net Core 3 work natively across Linux or Mac, I think would be a really awesome thing. Like, that's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah. So I guess the current scope is the Windows desktop application, but because of .NET Core support, as that evolves, you should be able to be anywhere .NET Core is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
And we're also pretty active on GitHub, so you can, for those of you watching live or who are watching the video afterwards, feel free to send us a feature request, look at our roadmap. I'll show the link in a little bit when we switch back to my laptop later.
Yep.
But that's probably the best way to reach either of us. The engineering PM team, we actively monitor our GitHub repo, so feel free to check us out over there.
So I'm going to cheat slightly and time travel 2 weeks ago when we did this for the VS Toolbox. The buttons that I just clicked will eventually send through, and you can see the specific crashes and the number of users that affected them, that were affected by them, the handled errors, all the different pieces that run there. And then under analytics in that video, what we would see is that there is one user, and then when I've done this, when I'll share this with Winnie in a second, she'd come in as well. So I want to, sometimes the interwebs get clogged up and it's hard to get stuff through them, but let's come back to this once more before I publish it to Winnie. Yep, I'm not sure what's got the pipes clogged today, but we can go ahead and publish this and definitely distribute this to Winnie and see how that runs on her side. So let's go ahead and stop over here. So I'm just going to go to build, publish.NET community. And I'm going to upload this to, my desktop for now so that I can find it. And just go right there. Finish. So that should give me a folder on here. And .NET community. We're gonna add this to a zip file. All right, so I'm gonna go back to App Center. I'm gonna go to my app. I'm going to upload a new release. So for this app, I've not ever sent it to anybody. I'm going to go ahead and point to .NET Community build version. So we need to let let's know what arbitrary version number we have in there. Notes. This is our release. Next, and let's go. Is that correct, Winnie?
Yeah,
YULI
1.
At 1. Excuse me. Well, that. There you go. You know it's Winnie. But in this case, Winnie has an App Center account, and so I'm integrating with her within App Center. Send it over to her. So if we want to flip back over to Winnie's machine in the next minute or two, she should have an email from the App Center team.
Awesome. So I just got an email saying there's a new app. It's very exciting. If I click on this install button here, it will take me to the install portal, which you can kind of think of this as like my own personal app store with apps that I can download. So I see Matt's comment here, the version. I click download, open. And so here I have the file that he just zipped. If I open that, what's going on?
We have a question in chat about sort of the automatic nature of the SDK sending things like crash reporting without maybe users inherently knowing about it. But I guess the way I would answer that, and I'd love to hear the team's perspective on it as well, is that the app you're implementing, you can do a lot of good things, you can do a lot of bad things. The app you're implementing could be under various regulations, whether they're government or industry, and it's really up to each developer to make sure their customers get privacy statements and disclosures in a way that's relevant. That's how I would think about it, right? You know, just because App Center does something technical doesn't mean we're forcing it on your customer. If you're taking advantage of the SDK, I think it's important that you consider all those things and make your app be as transparent as possible. Does that sound fair to the team?
Yeah,
Totally, and that's actually what I was referencing earlier. We have hooks that you can actually flag that you have to receive a user acknowledgement before we will send the report. We have hooks that allow you to do any custom handling, whether it's your own error reporting or other user data gathering. And so, right, I think that our intention is to give our users as much flexibility as they need to and want to give their users to live in that transparency.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I think the application file isn't running.
Yeah, we're just having a hot day today, but that's okay. Do you have the one from last time? It's the same app.
I might have. Not sure where. Do you want to try distributing that one to me?
I would, but right now, machine's angry.
Try uncompressing the app. I think you ran it from the zip itself. See if uncompressing will help. Because you downloaded it, right, but then you double-clicked on the runtime from within the zip file. I just want to see if that helps.
So just extract.
Yeah, just extract it and. Yeah, because I think you might be hitting some security stuff here.
Well, it was working.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Worth a try.
Yep. I'm gonna take the point on this one. I think it might be the same reason the data isn't showing up. Maybe this morning I didn't look at it quite the right way. I'm not sure why it's being so unhappy, but let's give it another try. CPU should be running. So, all right. So let's try publish one more time. publish.net community. I want it to go to the desktop. Okay. Right. So in a happy world where this just works, right? Install. So I'm running my exe. Oh, you know what? My bad. You don't have the newest version of .NET Framework. I need to publish. So this is great.
Yep.
This is a great tester scenario. We totally did this on purpose.
Of course. we
Yeah.
did.
So I actually need, I believe Winnie's machine only has .NET 4.5 on it, and I published for 4.7. So let's go ahead and redo this. And yes, I'm gonna redo that. So I'm going to, somebody get packages installed. That's fine. I should be able to build, rebuild. Rebuild, give me a fresh slot at this, and then I'll publish it again, and it will run on your machine, and life will be groovy. And we'll ignore the fact that the pipeline is slow.
Things never went wrong. In fact, everything was always fine.
Yes. All right. So build, publish.net community, targeting 4.5 framework. Next. I'm gonna cheat real quick and delete the one that's there, so I don't have any. Oh my, I'll just pick a different file name. One more try.
Demos are hard. It's okay. We'll get through it.
Yep. Oh, what did we do? Did we lose something?
Hopefully not. I think we just lost the Teams connection, but
Oh.
nobody's there, so it's okay. Probably timed out since nobody was there.
That's awesome. All right, let's try this one more time. Gusto. Next. Finish. All right, if I go back to my desktop, there you go. Now I have .NET Community. I'm going to add this, send this to a zip folder. Boom. Go back to App Center. So this is a good example of multiple releases. So hey, I sent it to my tester. My app wasn't right. Totally on purpose.
Do we need some more of the dependencies? Like, is it just that file that? Because that's a really small file.
It should be the. Oh, do I need the setup as well?
Yeah, I
That's
think
my
you need
bad.
setup and application files. You need,
Yeah,
like, the
that's
whole-
why I'm supposed to put it in a folder.
Yeah.
Let's try this again. Setup.
Because I think those application files up there got created, setup got created.
There we go. All right. We'll get this one. Much better. Thank you.
Just trying to remember my Click Once days.
Yeah.
I've shipped a few apps in back in the day that used Click Once, so it's coming back to me.
All right. So I'm gonna redo this just to make sure. Go back to a new release.
Build
All right.
number.
And let's give it build number 2. We'll give it the whole folder.
Just like in the real world where you would have a release number 2, but tries to fix release number 1.
Right. Try this one. Nations. We'll give it to Winnie. All right. Hey, Winnie, I fixed my errors. You want to see if it works on your machine?
Yeah, let's try it out. All right, so I see another email telling me to install version 2.0. This will take me to the install page. Are we sharing the screen?
Okay, sorry. Wrong
Okay,
screen.
no worries.
Too many buttons.
Let's hope this works. Click open. All right, let's see. I have to run the executable file. Run anyway. Looks like it's installing .NET Framework.
Oh, we're so much closer this time.
Yeah. And we wanted to demo .zip files because we thought that would be the easiest. But we also support like releasing .msi files, so however you want to package your app.
Yeah, MSIX, MSI. There's a bunch of formats supported there. This is just one of them. So we're not demoing this particular one because this is the guidance or because this is the only one that works. It was just the one we chose.
Yeah, theoretically the easiest one. But
the sword we chose to fall on today was zip files.
Yes, because it's much easier and it'll always work.
It'll always work.
So anyway, there's the app running and distributed.
Yeah.
And Winnie can crash it with the rest of us.
Let's try this button. So that will crash the app.
There you go.
Let me restart the app one more time. Oh, it's gonna prompt me to go through all of this one more time.
You guys didn't sign your app. Terrible.
I know.
Not the best practice.
I'm making the world a worse place.
All right, and let me throw a handled error. Let me crash it one more time. Do you want to see if the data is flowing in now?
I don't really.
Okay.
Yeah, so one thing that's worth mentioning, I suppose, we strive for data showing up almost instantaneously as quickly as possible. There are times, and I'm still open to the idea that maybe I didn't drink enough coffee this morning. I've done something wrong here, but sometimes it can move a little slower to get, like I said, all the bits transferred through. To be just completely honest, I'm a little surprised that it hasn't shown up yet. But in a perfect world, it would show up, as I showed the VS Toolbox one. So that said, it's a great time to share. If you were experiencing problems, we have this little blue button in the right-hand corner, and you can get yourself connected with our customer care team. And then if there's an issue that needs resolved, sent back to work with the dev teams so we can get your issue up and running. If you were not seeing data, that's what you would do. Since I'm one of the people that answer this, I won't bother myself today. But I think that would be the general pattern you'd want to attack here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, other than the fact that it only sort of halfway worked, I think this is great, and that's what we wanted to show off.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, App Center, is rolling this out in preview. We definitely want folks to try it, give feedback, right? This is a great opportunity to help shape the SDKs, make sure that it's the solution that works great for you. Any feedback on how people should get in touch?
Yeah, so we actually, you can get in touch with our support team like Matt just showed off with the little chat bubble right there. You can also go on GitHub if you just Google search GitHub App Center, or I'm currently showing this on my screen. We are very active. We publish our roadmap. You can see what we have planned each month. You can file a issue, a feature request, and we will actively monitor this and definitely take this into account when we're prioritizing the next features. So definitely drop us a note. Let us know what you'd like to see next. Yeah.
And Twitter/VS App Center is another one. Our Twitter is actively used. We get a lot of great feedback from there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm putting these links into the stream as well so that folks have them easily available. Okay, there you go. All right, so reach out for Twitter, publish issues on GitHub, and I'm sure that you can find the PMs if you really wanted to as well and talk to us. And I'm Lylan.com on Twitter. If you reach out to me about any of the shows, if you want to reach the team that was a guest or whatever, I can make that happen as well. So don't hesitate to reach out. And with that, I think we are pretty much done.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Right,
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you everybody who joined us online. Keep the questions coming via Twitter, via GitHub, and other places that you know to reach us. And we are building these products for you to make you productive. So we definitely want to hear back. And thank you so much for watching. Join us next month. We'll have more topics. Sorry we didn't get to XAML tools today. This is probably the second week I was trying to get to it, and oh my God, my life is not being nice to me. But next month, I'm pretty committed to get that done. So we should have a lot of good stuff out there for you. So thanks for joining, and have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.